Spoiler alert, this podcast is all about happiness. What gave it away? I'm Fayon Dixon and welcome to Happy Talk. Each week, I will be introducing you to someone that I share a happy connection with. I just believe that we all have happy stories, happy events, and we sit on them. We never share them. So this is the platform for doing it. I work as a presenter, broadcaster, events host. I work with stroke survivors. I have my own children's radio show. And I've been really lucky in the last 20 years to do work where I just ooze happiness. Yeah, I'm one of those people. My cup is eternally overflowing. Sit back, enjoy. It's time for Happy Talk. Hello and welcome to another Happy Talk with me, Fayon Dixon. Good news, good guests, no grief. With me by my side is Adam Bloom. Hello, Adam.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's great to see you again. It really is. So, Adam, this is how we do things on Happy Talk. I always start with some positive news from my friends, news from the rooftop. And what they're so great at is really shouting from the rooftops about positive campaigns and issues that are being turned around into really fantastic outcomes. So I'd like to share some positive news with you, first of all. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Wonderful. And if anybody wants to check out News from the Top, you can have a look at them on Instagram. And there's loads of positive, great news. But the news I'm going to go for is there's a global coalition of more than 600 organizations that have come together to call on world leaders and decision makers to protect the future education of children in the wake of COVID-19. So you've got the Save Our Future campaign. That is your hashtag right there. And you can follow them at Save Futures Now, Save Future Now. They're led by UNICEF, UNESCO, and Unicommission. And they've estimated that 1.6 million children across the world have had their education disrupted in the height of the COVID lockdown. And members of the campaign are calling on our government to prioritise funding for education and to ensure that most vulnerable in society don't miss out. Now, got to say, Adam, on my news from the rooftops and my positive news, I do include a lot about children and their education because it's something I'm very passionate about. You know, I loved school. I mean, for me, actually, I think school was more of a social. It was something that I did. I'm an only child. I was brought up as an only child, but I absolutely loved going to school, making new friends. I loved the lessons. I loved my teachers. I loved everything about school. I was a great student. You know, I didn't come out with the best, sort of exam results in the world, but I loved the experience of school. And to know that there are 1.6 children around the world who have not had
8 million, not 1.6 children.
Sorry?
You said 1.6 children. I'm glad I'm not the 0.6 one.
So the fact that there are 1.6 million children around the world who have not got this happy experience or just the education, it really saddens me. Are you somebody that enjoyed school when you went to school?
I related to everything you said, apart from the not doing well bit. I loved school up to the age of 11 when I went to a comprehensive school and suddenly got bored because they were doing stuff I'd already learned at my junior school. So, and suddenly there were a lot of bullies and everything changed. But I went to a nice little primary school in Richmond in Surrey, and it was beautiful. And my mum had to pin me down if I was ill.
Wow.
To keep me at home because I love school so much. But that changed drastically when I went to comprehensive school. Suddenly, you take your books with you from lesson to lesson rather than having your books permanently in the same place. I'm a creature of habit. It's not going back to the same classroom every day. And it was bigger and it was scarier and it wasn't challenging. I got bored by the time it was potentially challenging. And by that point, I was bunking off. So no, I was a bit of a kind of an epic fail, in the sense I was academically way advanced and then failed miserably. So no, I was supposed to do maths a year early and did it a year late and failed. So
Mm.
that's a major flop, isn't it?
Though, but a lot of kids, they do get affected by the way they are taught. And we all think it's, I mean, obviously we want children to be educated, and, the kind of teachers that you have are really important. I still remember the names of some of my teachers: Mr. Brooks, my English teacher, my art teacher, Mrs. Oh no, her name is right there. Oh, and it's gone. It will come back to me. But Mr. Hopkins, my physics teacher, Mr. Holforth, my year of head teacher when I was in it's year 10 now it's called, but it was year 4 or 5 at the time. But they made an amazing impression on my life. But I just can't envision having, that sort of taken away from. I have stepdaughters, yeah, and this year they were not able to do their exams because of the lockdown. And for the eldest one, I mean, she's been ready to do A level since she was about 8. She's been ready. She's so academic and loves learning. And once she got over the shock of not being able to go to school and being off timetable, and we just reassured her, look, you can make your own history now. You can teach yourself, you can do what you want. And as soon as she got that in her mind, she was like, bam, she carried on
Wow,
studying. She
wow,
carried on through lockdown. She made her own lessons plan, and she carried on. And
wow.
she got her double A stars in all 3 of her topics which she wanted, and off she's gone now to study history at York Uni. And apart from the whole lockdown business, she's thriving. The younger one hated school, hated the confines of school, and just knew that she wanted to do it her own way. And as soon as she was told she couldn't do her exams, she didn't work as hard as she could have done. She knows this from the mocks, but she absolutely excelled, and she's gone off to study art, and she's excelling in organizing her own time. And the stuff she comes out with now, like, I've got to go and study, or I've got some homework that I need to do, and it's got to be in by. And we're like, whoa, we never heard those words out of her face beforehand. So, don't be down on yourself, Adam, because you are, and here comes your official introduction. You are a multi-award winning comedian and writer, and you're one of my oldest friends.
Oh, thank you. But it still took 5 years of bumbling around, having left school at 16, to find that vocation. So there were, there's anyone listening to this who feels like they, hadn't come close to reaching their potential. Just want to remind you, there's obviously time to find your feet, because you don't do a comedy course at school. And I was a class clown, and I knew deep down there was something inside me, but it took 5 years. I mean, 23 is still quite young, but I still have 5 years of going, God, I've messed up, before I found my thing. And when I found my thing, I didn't let go. I was like a dog with a bone. That was it. Day one, that was a new life. On stage during my first gig, that was a new life. I didn't wait till I came off to work that out. I was on stage going, this is the new me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You knew you were home at last. Yeah.
at last. A bit like when someone comes out to their friends as gay, and the friends go, oh, that all makes sense now. And then suddenly it's all clicked into place. That was like, for me, I came out to myself as a performer.
Let me talk about the first time I met you. Uh, the happy memories that I have. So I moved from London. Sorry. So I moved from Coventry to London in 1989 with one of my best friends, Paula. Remember Paula?
I quite fancied her, actually.
Everybody did. I mean,
Oh,
she was just so cool and just so understated. She was just cool. Still is. And we moved from Coventry together to London, and we didn't know anyone. And we were living in Tolworth at first with her
right.
mum, one of her mum's best friends, who charged us no rent, by the way, for like
Wow.
2 months. And we moved to Wallington, and there we were in Elgin Road in our flat, and we were little hairdressers at the time, and she is still a hairdresser. And it was fine, but we didn't earn a lot of money, so we used to laugh our heads off. Our wages would come in and there was nothing left, but we earned our tips, and so we lived off tips. And we sort of got all our tips together and we're like, right, let's go out somewhere different. Let's go somewhere different from around Croydon. And we went to Richmond. We walked into the pub opposite Richmond Station, which I've forgotten now the name of.
The Bush.
The Bull and Bush. In we walk, and you were there, and you were one of the first people we met. And I believe New Year's Eve or something. I think it was a big night.
Okay, I can't confirm that. I remember you fancied me though.
Yeah.
There we go. No denying that. I did look different then, by the way, people. If you'll go, what? Why did you fancy him? I was all right. I was all right looking. I'm 50 next week. I know. I know. Black don't crack. But yeah, I remember meeting you both. I could see it like it was just you were wearing a silver or gold sequin miniskirt. Oh yes, burnt into my memory.
Listen, it was a gold sequined miniskirt, and I got it from Miss Selfridge's. And I swear down, I must have left a trail of sequins from Wallington to Richmond and back again. I left nearly every sequin by the time I got.
That's like an X-rated Hansel and Gretel.
For everything we said on that night, but I know we had a great time and we exchanged numbers. No mobile phones then. Oh no.
Landline.
That's commitment. We had to get ourselves to a telephone box.
Yeah, wow.
And we became friends. And the thing that I remember next, my other happy memory, is we were hanging out. Maybe I had a day off or something like that, and you brought along with you a video. I think. Oh, was it on TV? I don't know which, but there was a film called Throw Mama from the Train with Danny DeVito and Billy Crystal. And you knew this film and you introduced it to me. And to this day, it's in there. It's one of my top favorite films. I love it so much. Do you remember watching this film with me?
Yes, but I don't remember it as being a favourite of mine, like some others, like The Jerk with Steve Martin, or even Ruthless People with Dan DeVito. But I like the fact that I've influenced your, I suppose, not your sense of humour, but your taste in comedy. I like the fact I've made a little impact on you. It's nice when someone, I've got an ex-girlfriend who introduced me to Stephen Wright, who's one of the best joke writers of all time, and Mike Leigh films. So that was, when someone makes an impression on you, I mean, I would say that's a bigger impression, an entire director rather than just one film. But yeah, it's nice that someone can nudge you in the right direction with regard to something that you're going to like, because you may not have discovered that film otherwise.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I'd seen Danny DeVito. Possibly was. I knew Billy Crystal because I used to watch soap back in the day.
Oh, wow. Amazing. That's no doubt influenced Arrested Development. Have you seen Arrested Development?
Please listen. When Lawrence and I started dating back in 2010, I think that was when Arrested Development had started, and we would watch it together religiously. And if I'm ever having an off day, I go back and watch those episodes over and over. Job, oh my gosh, all the characters, the
He's my
motherly
feel. Joe's my favourite character in any sitcom. Yeah, Will Arnett, the actor.
Will Arnett in 30 Rock. Will Arnett in BoJack Horseman.
Yeah, great.
Come on. God, he's a master of comedy. So funny.
Yeah, but there's no doubt that there's an influence of soap on Arrested Development.
Yeah.
There's even a ventriloquist bit in it. Yeah.
It's what did he say? Oh, it's not easy being white. It's not easy being white. Do you
The,
remember?
the Joe did. Yeah.
He had
Um,
he had a puppet who I think did he start off as black and
yeah.
then he got bleached out, and so they recorded a song. It ain't easy being white.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So, how did we get on to Arrested Development? Oh, Billy Crystal. Yes, there we go. My favourite Billy Crystal film is called Mr. Saturday Night, and it's about the life of a stand-up comedian from childhood to retirement. And yeah,
I've seen that one.
Mr. Saturday Night, and it's one of those lost gems. The reason I found it was because a comedian recommended it to me, and it's perfect for a comedian because it's the life of a comedian. You see his first gig as a child, his first performance. He's dying on his ass, and he gets heckled, and he slams the heckler and turns the gig round. And I cried because I know that feeling of the fear of failure. I mean, failing on stage is horrible, horrible.
Mm.
And turning it round is amazing. It's like a boxer losing a fight and then coming back and suddenly winning and punching somebody.
How long does it take for you to get over that feeling of, I mean, I'm assuming in your lifetime you must have been heckled and kind of not been able to come back strong. You must have.
Yeah, the thing is with being heckled is if you're having a tough gig and someone heckles you, it's your chance to win the crowd over. So when someone heckles you when you're doing a tough gig, they don't realize that they think they're kicking you when you're down. But what they don't realize is they're actually giving you a chance to swing it round again because human beings love a trier, right? So if you're going down, I mean, I was at Up the Creek in 1994, which was notorious for heckling. It was on the Sunday night, which was
Why?
it, because the guy who owned the club, who's now dead, Malcolm Hardy, he encouraged it. So it's a bit like dogs look like their owners. His audience ended up being like him. He nurtured them,
Okay.
and he encouraged the anarchy. And on the Sunday night, which was the heckling night, Friday and Saturday was different. I was doing the open spot, the unpaid, the open mic with Julian Barrett, who's now one half of the Mighty Boosh with Noel Fielding, the sitcom, the very successful sitcom they wrote together. And Julian was dying on his ass, doing his gig to silence. And this bloke went, "Good night." And Julian
Oh,
went, "Not really, no." Right? Great response, right?
yeah.
And the crowd went from absolute silence to roaring with laughter. And from that moment, Julian could do no wrong because the crowd then went, "You're amazing."
Yeah.
I can't remember how the gig ended. He might have gradually lost him again. I can't remember. But the point is, he was going down. Someone tried to nail the final, bang the final nail in the coffin, and he turned it round. And I've had gigs where I'm struggling, and just that one line. It's not necessarily even a heckle. It can be a self-deprecation line where you acknowledge the gig's gone badly, and if you can
Yeah.
acknowledge, if you acknowledge it going badly, but be funny with it, not go, "Oh, this is rubbish," "Oh, won't be doing that joke again." That's awful. But if you say something that's funny about the gig going badly, you have their empathy,
Yeah.
and then you can turn it around again. So to be honest with you, it's more the tough gigs where I'm not getting heckled that are a problem, because
Because
then you're left
feed.
to just
You want to
gradually
feed,
sink.
don't you? You want to feed.
Yes. So the thing is, you know, heckling is, there's a lot of ways to heckle. There's supportive, there's nasty, there's chucking them a ball to see what they do with it. A lot of Americans come over to here and
Mm.
they panic when they get heckled. They go, "Am I going to heckle me?" The difference between England and America is American audiences will heckle you when they've decided you're no good.
Mm.
English audiences will heckle you, that too, but when they're just testing you, they'll heckle you to see what you got.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's see how he deals with this.
Yeah.
So Americans get really thrown when they get heckled. I thought I was having a good gig, and he heckled me. Yeah, he heckled you because you were having a good gig.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you know, I saw back in 1995, my friend and I, we did a little tour. We went from San Francisco up to Lake Tahoe, wove down through Eugene, Oregon, caught in the redwoods and all sorts of wonderful things. Carmel, blah, 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 ended up in Santa Cruz for July the 4th. We were there for a wedding, but we thought rather than just go to the wedding, went on this amazing little tour, away for about 3, 4 weeks or something. And on our last night in San Francisco, we went to a comedy club. And I've seen this guy. He was starting out then, and he was so funny. Oh my gosh. Somebody had their feet on the stage, and I hadn't heard this joke. You know, it was like, you know, do you work in the arts? You know, you somebody who works on stage, and like the guy's like, oh no, I'm a builder or something. Like, get your feet off my stage then. And I've never heard that before, and it roared.
Right.
He did this joke
That
about.
is a cliche, by the way. That is a cliche. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. It is now. It is
Yeah.
now, but this is 1995. We hadn't heard anything like
No,
that
no,
yet.
no, no, sure. But that line might have even been written in 1976, for all we know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
You
I
work
know
in
what you mean.
theatre.
Yeah.
You work in theatre. No, we'll get your feet off the stage. It's a technique. You know, it's like that's a technique to get the guy's feet off the stage. And it's rather than it being a joke, it's actually obviously it's a control, isn't it? He's making sure the person knows that they're being disrespectful. It's alpha mailing them ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah, but I remember seeing actually as well with Lily Von Trapp in Blazing Saddles. I think she also used it as well when she was doing her "I'm tired." Da, 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 I'm tired. That song, she's tired. She's tired. You know the song I'm talking about.
No, I've seen it once. I can't remember it.
You've only seen Blazing Saddles once.
At least I've seen it. At least I've seen it.
All right, I've seen it many, many times. Anyway, getting away from Lily Von Trapp. Getting back to, oh yeah, so my guy, Mr. American, and he got heckled, but he rose strong. He was really, really strong with it, we seem to remember. And then I saw him on TV many, many years later. We're like, oh my gosh, who's that guy? And he was doing the same set.
That happens. This was the American guy.
He's an American guy, yeah.
Americans are very very good at honing in the same set because it's such a big country. You can tour, and you're still playing to new people. Whereas England's, I mean, you can still get away with the same shit, but England is a smaller country, and also we have like the Edinburgh Festival where you've got to do a new hour each year, a new hour each time you go. You might not go every year. Might take you 2 years to write it, or even 3 years to write it. But when you go back, you've got a new hour. And America doesn't have its equivalent. The closest they've got is Just for Laughs in Montreal, where you do 7 minutes.
Wow.
So if you get invited back to Just for Laughs, and you have to be invited, Edinburgh, you don't have to be invited, you can just go. So if you get invited to Just for Laughs, there'll be a 3-year break before getting asked back there, generally. So you've got 3 years to write 7 minutes. In Edinburgh, you've got 1 year to write an hour.
Now that is incredible. You know, I was going to say my other happy memory of you is because we were friends from 1989 and we carried on being friends for a long time. And then along the way, we just lost contact. You know, we didn't fall out, we just lost contact. And then I think it was the early 2000s, possibly, my friends and I went to a comedy gig. It could have been the Comedy Store or somewhere like that. And we just bundled in. We didn't know we were going to be going there that night. And we didn't really know exactly who was going to be on. It was one of those great nights, and it was, you know, just the comedians were great. And then you came on, and I was like, my voice, Both could hear me. And we caught you after the show, and it was just brilliant to see you again. And I've seen you on stage loads of times since then. But, you know, your career moved from the stage to the small screen as well. And I will never forget seeing you in that, I say awful, but amazing documentary show about you being in some kind of bunker where you had no light and you were just in there for, was it 24 hours?
48 hours.
48 hours. What year was that again?
Probably 2007. But yeah, oh man. So Horizon, BBC documentary, did a thing about isolation. What's the word? Solitary confinement. Yeah, and it hadn't been done since the 1960s because it was deemed cruel. There's somebody sat in the dark for 2 days, and the last person to do it was a scientist who did it to himself, and it's still deemed cruel. So these were volunteers, but they approached me because they wanted an extrovert. They wanted different personality types to see how different personality types dealt with it. And I sat in a nuclear bunker in a prison cell for 48 hours in pitch black, and I had my meals in the dark. I had loo breaks. Obviously, you've got to have civilized loo breaks. God, imagine that, having to go to loo in pitch black on your own. But I had loo breaks where they took me to the bathroom with a blacked out ski mask on and REF headphones, so I couldn't see or hear. There'd be just a runner from the crew, something like a 19-year-old girl, holding my arm and walking me to the bathroom. So I'm not allowed to speak to them.
Mm.
And then you're in the bathroom, and then you have the light. So in all fairness, there was a little bit of light to stimulate my brain because,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, let's say I went to loo, I don't know, 3 or 4 times in those 2 days. That at least gave my brain some stimulation, because
Mm.
when your brain has absolutely nothing going in, what happened to me was I started hallucinating.
I remember.
Right, oh, you do. So I thought I saw a pile of oyster shells in front of me, and I even put my hand up to check they were there, because there's that like 1% chance that I'd been asleep. They'd snuck in, put a pile of oyster shells in the cell, and thought this will mess with his head. So I genuinely double checked that the oyster shells weren't there. I kind of knew they weren't, but I was like, I
Yeah.
can see them
I could
clear.
just check. So, what did you think about?
I sung a lot to myself. I played the drums. I've never played the drums, not since I was 8. And I was tapping on the bed, and I told myself jokes. I laughed. I cried. The range was incredible. I could tell how long I'd been in by the length of my stubble, because I went in clean shaven. I
Mm.
didn't do that on. I went in clean shaven for the TV cameras.
Mm.
But then I realised that in retrospect that I could feel the length of my stubble.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I knew, because it's very hard to gauge time. Like, I went to bed at 7:30 in the evening, which I'd never do, because I felt tired. I thought it was nighttime, so I went to bed.
Yeah.
Then I woke up at 3 in the morning. So already my sleep pattern is way off.
Yeah.
And you might think you're a comedian, like you're nocturnal. Not really. I go to bed at midnight, 1 in the morning. I'm waking up at 3 in the morning. So on day 1, on morning number 1, I'm already way off whack.
Mm.
And the only time where I knew how long I'd been in was I would stroke my stubble and go, well, this definitely is getting close to 2 days. Otherwise, I'd have had no idea. And
Mm.
I thought I'd never get through this. I remember thinking, like, like when you're on a long tube journey in rush hour, you think, okay, I'm going to get off halfway and go and get some fresh air and pop out
Yeah.
for a coffee or something. And then you go, oh, I'm halfway now. There's only another half to go. I'll
Might as
go
well
a bit
stay
longer.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then before you know it's the end. Well, it was exactly the same as that. I remember thinking, there's no way I'm going to get through this. This is horrible. Because I only had to put my hand up, and a psychologist would say, what's the matter? Because I was being watched 24 hours a day. So I just said, I can't get through this. And then I thought, okay, we'll see how I get on. And then suddenly the door opened and this light came through, and they went, congratulations, you've done it. And I can't tell you, I would just jump for joy. It felt like a 9-year-old's birthday, the
Oh
morning
my
of your
gosh.
yeah, incredible. Because I genuinely thought, there's no way I'm getting through this. It's a long time. And let's not forget, when a prisoner has that experience,
Mm.
they don't know if they're ever coming out alive. So
Mm.
what I did was a bit like Prince Charles sleeping homeless, rough one night, to get an idea what it's like. Don't
Sure.
get an idea. No one's going to mug him. No one's going to kill him.
Mm.
So I did a very, very sanitized experience, but
Yeah.
it was still enough to make me cry and hallucinate, for God's sake. So imagine being chained to a radiator for 6 months.
Mm. So Adam, what did you notice first of all when you came outside?
I noticed that the sun and the leaves of the trees and the grass and the flowers and the blue sky were just technicolor, absolute technicolor.
Mm.
Whereas when I went in, this was a nuclear bunker in Stanmore, where Churchill had plotted World War II.
Wow.
So it wasn't the nicest looking place. It was a lot of grey paint, and it looked like a bit of a prison. So on the way in, all I noticed was the bleakness,
Mm.
and I couldn't see the flowers and the trees. And on the way out, all I could see was the green
Wow.
grass. So suddenly, if you deprive your eyes of visuals of the nature for
Mm.
2 days, you'll be amazed how much you appreciate that. And that was a profound. I mean, you can think about anything in a negative way about life. And you're thinking, oh, this is bad, this is bad. But even as you're thinking it, you have at least your sanity to make that conclusion. As you're looking around the flat that you're sick of living in or need painting, you can at least see it. You know, you're sick of a noisy neighbor, at least you can hear. So, you know, there's so many things that you can see as negative that you can turn into a positive and go, well, at least I'm able to see these things.
When you break it down, gratitude to me is always the attitude. It's like, what am I grateful for? And, you know, Lawrence taught me this technique, my husband, when we do yoga, rather than just leaping up and going, because I'm like, oh, I've always got something to do. He's like, no. Take your time and literally do a check from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. And it's that, you know, gratitude for my brain, the fact that I'm having these thoughts. You know, thank you for my eyes that I can see. Thank you, I can hear, that I can smell, my mouth. You know, thank you for my speech that I can speak. And taking my breath when I think of each one and sending breath all the way down to my toes and back up again. When I first started doing this, I couldn't do it because I'm like, oh God, it's taking for too long. I've got to get going.
Sounds great.
Everything, because I'm a person that needs to slow down. You know, there's a lot going on. So it is my moment. You know, I've done my chanting, I'm doing my yoga, and I'm just taking some time to check in. I mean, I leap out of bed and go, Mom, and I look out the window and I'm like, yeah, another day.
Right. Well, I do that, but I'd stop at Willie. I have no choice. If you're supposed to appreciate yourself, what's wrong with stopping at Willie?
Come so far. Just get through this.
Just for 5 minutes and then carry on to Knees. Which isn't far away from Willie, by the way.
Let me remind you, this is a family podcast.
Oh, sorry. I didn't. Do you know what? I didn't know that.
It's not.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
No, it's just people.
There's nothing happier than a man talking about his Willie. I'll have you know.
Willie, let's just move on. It's now time for your show and tell. So yes.
I want to tell you something. When my children were 3 and 5, we're in a restaurant on New Year's Day with my mum. So it's mother, son, and his 2 children. And one of my eldest daughter shouting out Willie in a restaurant. Willie! So my younger daughter started joining in, thought she was hilarious. Willie! And I turned around and I said, right, 1, we're in a restaurant. 2, we don't use that word. And she went, and 3, Willie. Is that wonderful? And I cracked up laughing. I roared. And my mum went, don't you laugh at that. So I got told off in front of my children. I got told off. What a strange status change that was for them. Daddy's suddenly being told off. But that is a great line, isn't it? 1, we don't use that word. 2, in a restaurant. And 3, Willie. Now, that's genius.
What's so funny, and you won't know this, but as you delivered that punchline, your mobile phone screensaver of your face as a child popped up. Perfect. I mean, look at you. You are a multi-award winning comedian through and through.
Thank you.
I have a funny story from an ex-boyfriend, actually. A little girl, his little girl at the time was, I think, about 3 or something, 4, started going to nursery, so probably about 3. And she had a lovely knitted cardigan on or something like that. And they got on the tube, and she had been known to start saying the F word. She picked it up from somewhere. Yeah. F off.
Probably your podcast.
Years ago. And they were on the tube, and a woman said to her, oh, you look pretty. She's like, oh, nice and shy. She's like, where are you going today? Nanny's. Oh, that's lovely. And you're covered in jewelry. That's so pretty. Nanny made it, you know, all of this. And she said, and what are you going to tell Nanny when you see her? What's up, Nanny?
And the woman was horrified.
He the dad just burst out laughing. And, you know, soon after, she stopped with the swearing because he just started laughing at her. And when she was going through the terrible twos, he said one time in Tesco, she lost her mind, got down on the floor. There was no moving her. He got down on the floor as well on his back and literally did the dying fly. And she cracked up, and that was the end of those tantrums. So just saying, parenting skills,
Great.
I don't know. So it is now time for your show and tell. And we have something very exciting.
On Happy Talk, I ask all my guests to bring along an item, something that you can show and tell me all about. Now, I have no idea what it is that you're going to be showing me and telling me about. I am awaiting the moment. So, Adam Bloom, show and tell.
It reminds me of my kids at nursery, because I would tell the teacher, you know, this thing. Is that where you got the phrase from, show and tell, from nursery?
It's back in my mind from a
Oh,
kid.
okay.
It just was lovely was I would tell a teacher that one of my daughters has got this book she's really pleased with, and she'd go, "Oh, show and tell." And it's the first time I heard that phrase. It was so new. Nursery was so new to her that I didn't know that show and tell existed. She's like, show and tell. It's like, well, we know where they can be. It's lovely that the kid brings something in and shares it. You know, my little ego as a young kid would have loved show and tell, because it was a performer. You know, performers like it when it's about them. And you know, it's an audience. You've got the class of 3-year-olds looking at this thing you're holding cool. And I don't know if all comedians are like that, but I certainly was. I would have loved show and tell. So now here's my show and tell. My hobby, and this might ring a bell, my hobby is inventing close-up magic card tricks. That's my hobby.
That is your hobby.
Yeah.
Now, I don't remember, but go on.
That shows how good their tricks were back then.
No.
I've still got the 4 of hearts you signed. I've still got your signature.
But something you should know about me is I love magic. So,
Okay.
you know, if you show me any kind of magic, it's in there somewhere, but show me. I'm waiting, primed.
So everything trick I do is my own creation. I don't learn a trick and practice it. I create the trick. So for me, the thought process behind inventing it is the bigger achievement than the doing it. And because I come from a stand-up world where you do your own material. You don't, you know, the old comedians with the mainstream guys, they would all do each other's jokes because they were just jokes, you know, the Bernard Manning times. But my generation, because I'm post Alexis Sale, you do your own stuff. So I've got that ethic as a magician. So I invent my own card tricks. So my point is, I would spend far longer getting a trick to its final stage of evolution, if there's such a thing, than actually performing it and practicing it. So yeah, I'm a nerdy little magic creator geek. That's my happiest place to be in. I can sit in a hotel room with 5 hours to kill before a gig on my own. No friends anywhere, just me on my own hotel. And rather than watching TV or reading somebody, I will give myself completely to that deck of cards and try and solve problems. It's like a crossword puzzle. I need to do that and get that to there. What kind of thing can I do to achieve that? And when you finally get the final piece, what a professional magician would do is then go and perform that every night for the next 20 years.
Right.
What I do is I put it aside and move on to the next one. So it's almost like when I finish a crossword, you don't spend the rest of your day looking at the crossword, do you? You put it down. So I'm kind of going solve. So I've got quite a backlog of stuff.
How long have you been doing this?
Since I was 18.
So around the time I met you, so maybe, I don't know, maybe you were just a bit shy. And
No. When I was in the pub with you and Steve and your friend, I can't remember her name.
Paula,
sorry. I did a trick with a rope and some scissors. I cut and restored the rope, and a guy at the next table saw it restored, and I threw it across the pub for him to examine. It was really cocky. It was like, and you can check that. But also, let's be honest, if you're watching a trick from afar, it'd be quite nice to, you know, to be able to examine the.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a nasty thing; it was a giving thing. But yeah, that was my other memory. But nonetheless, Danny DeVito was more memorable than me doing a rope trick, which I accept.
Stop your noise. Don't
Right.
be all touchy with me. Show me the trick.
Okay, here we go. Now, I'm not used to doing this on screen.
I'm excited. I didn't know there was going to be magic.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yes,
You see 4 red cards?
I can.
You get 2 jokers in a pack. So from 2 packs, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 jokers. Okay. Now I take one of them, empty hand. I put it in my hand. It vanishes, comes back blue.
Whoa.
Now watch this. 1 blue one, back to red.
Right.
Now let's see if we can do a ball 4. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Oh,
What?
1 second. One more's got to go. There we go. And that's all 4 blue cards. I hope you can see that.
You can't see my face. I'm just like,
But you could see that properly, could you?
I could see that. I could see that. I mean, this is a vodcast, as in we can see what you're doing, and it's also going to be a podcast. So for those of you who are listening right now, you're going to have to get onto the vodcast so you can see what Adam did. So how long did it take you to learn that trick?
Well, the making a card vanish in your hand, that was the difficult part. But what I came up with was, rather than the card vanishing and then coming back, my idea, this is my idea, is to make a card vanish and come back a different color. So the idea is it's a double hit. You go vanish, change. So in comedy, we call it a topper. When you get a laugh and there's another laugh straight after it, we know. And what you ultimately want is lots of toppers. So they're rolling laughter, because you go set up, punchline, set up, punchline. Much better if you can go set up, punchline, punchline, punchline. So you get them rolling. And that's a topper because it's instant. You've got it's gone back again. So that was the difficult bit. But the creative side, I didn't invent the move, but I invented the idea of that enabled me to have it change color, and that's what excites me. And that's what I get. So there are other magicians who could perform that 10 times better than me, but they didn't invent it. So I'm a good creator and a shit magician. Oh, I just thought.
Can you put the lights back on so we can see?
Honestly, I was just, when you watch this back, I was actually just poised like that going.
Yeah, I mean, that is a neat trick. And I love the fact that because I know your brain works quick. I remember when I first met you, it was one of the things that fascinated me about you, how fast your brain works. And as soon as you have one idea, bam, you've gone on to something else. And I'm still like, whoa, I'm still on the last idea. I love that about you, but I just didn't realize about the magic. And so when we get together again and things are all groovy, I want a magic show. I want a magic show. I'm just saying. Maybe for my next birthday, I just wanted to share something quick about you, about how impressed I am by magicians.
Just one thing. Your next birthday, you happy to tell the audience how old you'll be next birthday?
Oh, I'm dead. Listen. So I will be 52.
And how many cards in a pack?
52. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
All right.
I remember to take out the jokers.
Yeah, so I pray I can have a birthday party, and I want you at it. Bring your 52 deck, because I'll be 52. I'm feeling there's a thing happening here. Do you know, I still remember a trick that I was shown on a boat back in the 90s. I was on some boat party, having a great old time, and this guy just sort of nonchalantly comes over to us. He's smoking a fag, so this goes to show how long ago this is.
When people could afford cigarettes.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's just talking away, and he says, "Oh, it's a beautiful top. Is that silk?" And I said, yeah, it is. And he dragged his cigarette, and then he took my top, and he passed his cigarette through my top and carried on smoking. And I'm like, what? I mean, just having a naked flame near silk is enough. But the guy passed a cigarette through my top and then went, "See you later," and walked off. And I was just checking my top. Nothing there, nothing. Even now, I'm still in awe of this thing.
And yet the rope trick, don't even remember it.
Let it
So
go. Let it go.
what's interesting, two things went through my mind there. First of all, what's really dangerous is if you're going to do that without asking permission, what if the girl panics like that and then it does burn it? Do you know what I mean? Though
I don't know.
it could go in a whole direction, and then
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
that's very brave to do that, because it only takes one movement from you and it does burn.
I know, but you know, I'm a trusting soul. I mean, I've been on stage with Paul McKenna. You know, he's like, "Oh, who in the audience wants to come up?" I'm like, "Me, me, me." You know, I'm just like that. You know, I'll do anything like that.
I have been putting lit cigarettes, well, pre-smoking ban, through people's tops. You get some of the loose top to pull it out, and you put it in, and it vanishes.
You have.
Yeah, but the point is, what this guy, yeah, it's an old trick. Everyone does it, but what surprised me is, if you remember that correctly, that's really original, because if he puts it through and takes out the other end and continues smoking it, I don't know how that's done, because the version I learned, it never comes back. It goes in and it's gone, which is great. But I love the idea of pushing it and taking it through, and
And you know what as well, Adam, we were all just so in like, oh my God, you talk. And we turned round and we're on a boat, and I never saw that guy again that evening.
Was he being paid to be there?
I had no idea.
I mean, if someone can afford to have a part on a boat, they can afford probably to have a magician. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I never saw him again.
But being the average magician is not very good with women, so that's the only penetrating he'll be doing that day.
I love you. Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on Happy Talk.
It's been a joy being here. Not to make the dealy boppers, 1 second.
There they are, fingers in the air, deedly boppers on the hair.
E.T., look, this is E.T.
Oh, be good. Be good, Adam.
I'll always be good. I'm a good person. I wasn't a boast. I'm very good. I'm good. Thank you.
Adam, my gosh, thank you so much. You know how much I love magic. So it was great that we could record that. Oh, thank you.
A pleasure. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Absolutely, absolutely loved it. So we are at the end of our time. Happy Talk time is over.
It was great fun. It was great fun.
It was great fun. So let's meet up soon, yeah? When we can, when it's safe. And, you know, I don't know what tears you're in, but I'm in tears. Just not being able to meet up with the people I want to meet with. But hey, the end is coming soon. It's in my heart. I know it's coming soon.
That's wonderful. I can't wait to catch up with you.
All right. See you soon. Take care, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Brilliant, Adam. Thank you so much for coming on Happy Talk. And it was so good to see your magic. Thank you for sharing that with us. Just loved it. Yeah, there's a bit of magic in there. Did you notice? It's all good. So I hope you really enjoyed that. So now it's time for your happy happenings. This is your time to shine. Thank you so much for sending me your emails, your news of what's going on out there for you, what's making you happy. And this one comes from Georgina. It's from Halloween. I know a little while back, but got a lot of these to get through. So Georgina is 8 years of age, nearly 9. And she is an only child, and lockdown has not been brilliant for her. Although she's got to see her friends at school, she loves Halloween. Georgina, I hear you. Halloween, I love, 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 love. And she was really upset that she wasn't going to be able to go out trick-or-treating properly. But her mum said, don't worry, we can still do something. So they got dressed up. They carved the pumpkin. They got the whole pinata going on. Being an only child, that meant she got all the sweets for herself. They also went out on the night and checked out everybody else's decorations and, felt the spirit of Halloween at least. And then through her class, they actually organized a Zoom Halloween quiz. So she did get to have a lot of fun. So I'm just so glad for you, because I know Halloween is a great time and I love all the spookiness that goes on with it. And I'm glad you got to have a good time. So if you want to share your happy happenings with me here on Happy Talk, I'd love to hear them. You can just send me an email to happytalkwithfayondixon@gmail.com. So for now, thanks again to Adam. Thank you for my happy happenings. Remember, good news, good guests, no grief. Take care. See you soon.